everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking Angels baseball because who wouldn't want to talk about such a exciting group of guys? I mean, we have home run leaders, we have base running blunders, we have surprising starts and disappointing showings. As you know, Angels baseball is just full of surprises. You never know what you're gonna get. So we are going to be recapping the March/April of Angels baseball. At the end of every month, I'm gonna be doing a recap like this. As you guys know, I love stats. I'm a stats nerd, I'm a math nerd. So diving into players in this way is really fun for me. I really enjoy doing it, but I also think that it is important to take eye test into consideration as well. So I think it's important to combine both stats and eye test together to get the true story of how a player is performing. Comment down below who your biggest disappointment has been this year on the Angels and who your biggest surprise has been. Without further ado, let's jump right in. I wanted to wait until the very last second to give you guys our standings, how we rank against other teams, things like that. So as of April 28th, the Angels are currently 4th in the American League West with a 10-18 record. We just got swept by the Twins in a horrid series. We played so terribly. We are only one game ahead of the Astros, who are currently 9-19. The Mariners are sitting on top of the West at 15-13. As of today, the Halos are around average in most batting stats. We're scoring about 4.2 runs per game. We have a 239 batting average, a 309 on base percentage, and a 375 slug. Not great. However, numbers across the league seem to be pretty low this year. The league average in slugging, for example, is 385 and we have a 375. So our OPS is 684 and our adjusted OPS plus is 95. So pretty average in terms of hitting. Our pitching has been putrid so far. We're allowing the third most runs per game, and this is before this Sunday Twins game that we played, so I'm sure this is going to shoot up even more. We're allowing 5.3 runs per game. Hello? Sure. Anything you want to say? Yeah, me neither. Your Halos have an ERA plus of 85, which is 5th worst in the league. We've walked 104 batters, which is 8th worst in the league. We've given up 33 home runs, which is 5th worst in the league. And we have a team whip of 1.337, which is 7th worst in the league. So pitching has been putrid. Offense has been okay. 10-18. Okay, that's all.
Right off the end. I mean, look at this spin.
Oh, my. Did he?
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yep. Not making them like they used to.
Let's start with some positives, because surprisingly, there are some, despite what our record might show. The Angels are currently top 10 in the league in base stealing. We are stealing bases, folks. This is not a drill. The Angels have stolen 26 bases through 25 games this year, and they only had 10 through 25 games in 2023, so I love to see it. I don't remember the amount of times last year I said, why are we not stealing a base here? So this is really exciting. I wonder where the team would be at, though, if we weren't stealing bases. Kind of a scary thought. We're just gonna move on. I don't even want to think about that. The Angels are one of 4 ball clubs currently that have 3 or more guys that have stolen at least 5 bases this year, so it's not just one guy that's racking up stolen base numbers. Mike Trout, Luis Rengifo, and Joe Adell have all stolen at least 5 bases, and Rengifo is currently leading the team at the time of this recording. Another positive is that half of our rotation has been pretty solid this year. I think most people kind of expected the team to just not have an ace, you know? Which, do we have a true ace? I'm still not really sure. But if I had to pick one, obviously it would be Reed Detmers. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. But I do think it's good that there are a few guys in our rotation that have stepped up and that have been doing really well. Now, this one might seem kind of shocking because I feel like the offense has been really lacking this year. But at the time of this recording, we have 7 guys that have OPS pluses over 100. So that's really exciting to see. Again, I think that situational hitting is kind of skewing these numbers a bit. The guys are hitting the ball. And I know the sample size is also small, but it hopefully is a good sign. Another positive for me, I think that the team is fighting back in every single game that they're down, and they have been answering in some way as often as they possibly can. I don't know how to look this stat up. I tried for a long time, but Gooby and Wayne were talking about how the team is one of the better teams in the league league of scoring runs immediately after the opposing team has scored runs. I don't know what that stat is called, but the Angels are good at least answering in some way by putting up at least a run or two whenever a team scores in bunches. So that's really good to see. That is a trait that you need in a team in order to be somewhat successful. The last glaring positive that I have is Ron Washington, because I think he has made a clear impact on this team, and I am extremely grateful for it. I love that he's our skipper. We've seen his impact not only in guys like Neto and Sano, but even Rendon before he got hurt. He was putting in extra time on the field, taking ground balls and things like that. I think that he's answering questions very honestly when our beat writers are asking him questions post-game. We didn't really see a lot of that with Nevin, and even Madden kind of beat around the bush quite a bit. Wash seems to be a little bit more straightforward, which we as a fan base that haven't really gotten a lot of straight answers lately, I really appreciate that. I also just think that he's interacting well with the players in general, and I honestly still cannot get over the fact that he writes little notes to each of the players before the start of a series. Not every player is going to be effectively coached the same way, so I think that this adds a nice little personal touch. I think it's so sweet, and it just makes me love Ron Washington more than I already did. Unfortunately, that is all I have for the positives at this point. But let's dive into the negatives, shall we?
This is hit towards Triple's alley. Lee is on the move, still on the move, and he tracks it down.
That chest workout in, maybe a few push-ups. He'll get those few feet.
The first negative that I need to address is the bullpen, obviously. The bullpen is currently in the bottom 10 in Major League Baseball in runs, ERA, FIP, home runs per 9, WAR, hard hit percentage, and barrel percentage. And some stats don't actually look too bad, including things like batting average against walks and whip. But to me, with the combination of these stats being either good or bad, this tells me that our bullpen is giving up a ton of hard contact when runners are on base. I do think that there are a few guys that are skewing this data, however. 4 out of 9 of our bullpen guys have an ERA at 350 or lower, but 5 of the 9 have an ERA over 350, and 3 of those 5 have an ERA over 5.5. So teams are capitalizing when they're getting runners on, which is what good ball clubs should do, and we have been playing a lot of good ball clubs recently. So when our top half is pitching, good things are happening. However, when the bottom half is pitching, extremely bad things are happening. You might be wondering, for example, why does Jose Suarez keep getting innings? Well, guess what? Him and Matt Moore are the only 2 lefties in the bullpen. So when Matt Moore is down, unfortunately, when there's certain splits in place between lefties and righties at the plate, you have to put a lefty in. So Jose Suarez obviously has not had a good start to the year. I didn't even feel like diving into his stats because I just knew it would bring me way too much pain. What is Wash supposed to do? He doesn't really have a choice but to use the guys that he is allotted, and he spoke in a press conference about that, which I think is really important for our front office to hear. Another glaring negative is, yeah, we have had some good starting pitching, but the starting pitching as a whole has been extremely inconsistent. One start will be absolutely fantastic, and then another start will be absolutely abysmal. You can't win series when every other starting pitcher is not pitching well. The Angels are currently last in the league on first strike percentage. At the time of this recording, their first strike percentage in at-bats is 57.7%. You'd like to see that number above 60%. Another negative that I stumbled upon when doing some research is that I realized that we have one starting pitcher currently that has a plus fastball, and it's Jose Soriano. Everybody else in our starting rotation has a below average or a minus fastball, and I'm talking fastball, sinker, cutter. When you take a look at our starting rotation stuff plus, Jose Soriano has a plus fastball and a average sinker. Everybody else doesn't really have great movement or very effective fastballs. When you can take that pitch out of an approach, your approach at the plate becomes so much easier. This is not singling out one person in our rotation. This is singling out the front office. How did you not go get somebody that has a good fastball? If you know that a guy does not locate his fastball well, then you're just gonna sit fastball and wait for him to throw one. It's beyond me. The Angels' fastball rankings amongst the league in stuff plus, 24th in the league, 19th on their sinker, sinker, and their cutter is 11th in stuff plus, but only because Tyler Anderson is the only guy in the rotation that throws a cutter. So yeah, that could explain part of this. Nobody really has a good fastball, so that's fun. The last negative that I'm going to talk about is the situational hitting. Our situation has just been so bad. I don't want to dive into this too much because it just kills me to look at these, but it is a glaring negative. I will leave some stats and move on, but before I leave these stats, I do want to talk about something called leverage index and what constitutes a high, medium, or low leverage situation. So I think it's important to understand what is a high leverage situation anyways. The leverage index, as defined by Fangraphs, is a measure of how important a particular situation in a game is depending on things like runners on base, the inning, the score, etc. A combo of all of these things is taken into account and assigned a number. It gives every possible situation a importance. A leverage index, or LI, of 1 is considered the average situation. A lower leverage situation is 0.85 or lower. A medium leverage situation is 0.85 through 1.99, and a high leverage situation is 2 or higher. For example, base is clear, bottom of the first, 1 out, is going to be much less important than bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. I need to emphasize that clutch hitting as a whole is best looked at on small sample sizes. Just because somebody has been relatively clutch over their entire career does not mean that they are going to be clutch all the time. It just doesn't mean that. So with that being said, in this small sample size of the season, the Halos have been bad in clutch situations. They're currently 27th in OPS plus in high leverage situations, 24th in the league in tie game situations, 26th in the league with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and 19th in late and close situations, all based on OPS plus.
As Miguel Sano goes toe-to-toe with Raymond here at Tropicana Field.
Well, I'm liking Sano's chances on that one.
Oh, a right hand!
Goes
down
Raymond.
He goes! Raymond will never be the same.
Let's talk about some surprises on the Halos next. The first guy that we're going to talk about is Jo Adell. I know. He has been a big surprise for me so far in 2024. If you look past the glaring base running goofs, which, by the way, getting picked off and caught stealing, that doesn't really bother me. That happens to everybody. But overrunning bases and making bad base running choices is a problem, and there's no excuse in my opinion, especially for somebody that's fighting for playing time. You need to make sure that all of those little things, when you get the opportunity, are primed to a T. Jo Adell has been hitting the ball hard. He's been hitting it, and he's been hitting it hard. He's not a qualified hitter yet, so his batting metrics on Baseball Savant aren't technically qualified, but we do see some good red numbers in there. And what I'm seeing is that he's either making really hard contact with the ball or he's not making hard contact. There's not really an in-between. However, he's top 7% in the league in things like max exit velocity, and he's top 30 in the league amongst guys with a minimum of 40 plate appearances in batting average, slugging percentage, and WRC+. We love to see it. Honestly, good for you, Joe. We knew you had it in you. It was just a matter of when it was going to come out. Some of the numbers that have improved from 2023 include his barrel rate, his hard hit rate, his sweet spot percentage, his K percentage, surprisingly. Most or all of his expected stats have shot up, and his whiff percentage has also dropped. If he can hover even close to these numbers, he should and will be our starting right fielder. He has all of the other tools. Let's talk about Reed Detmers next. It's no secret that Detmers has had a phenomenal start to the year, and I'm honestly so happy for him because he has the stuff to be a true SP1 or SP2. I like to think that part of his success has to do with his fastball being manageable while also having a incredible curveball. I don't understand how a ball is allowed physically to move like that. It is insane. If you look at his Baseball Savant page, there is a great deal of red. We love to see his expected ERA and expected batting averages close to what his true numbers are saying. Back to his fastball and his curveball, there's close to an 18 to 20 mile per hour velocity difference between the two pitches, and that creates an extremely effective combination. Reed has not seen this success with his fastball so far in his career, so this could be part of the reason why we're we're seeing more success with him. He sacrificed a little bit of speed on his pitches, but we've seen improvements from 2023 in a number of categories, including hard hit percentage, sweep spot percentage, batting average against by about 40 points, expected batting average by about 50 points, his K percentage, his walk percentage, whiff rate, etc. I'm hoping that the confidence that he's building will help him maintain this throughout his season. Reed has been known to have long valleys and long... What am I trying to say? He's known to have long periods of time where he does really well and then long periods of time where he doesn't. He's like hot and cold, but on a long-term basis. Does that make sense? So I really hope that he can maintain this throughout a whole season. Lastly, we're gonna talk about Tyler Anderson because what a season he's had as well. He's had a great start to the year, which I know most of us are extremely grateful for. But if you take a look at his Baseball Savant page, there is some red here, but the expected stats don't really like him that much. He is locating his pitches well. All of his pitches have a location plus above 100, which I think is really part of why he's seen so much success so far. For a pitcher like him who relies more on changing speeds rather than heat, it's important that he locates well. He's giving up a lot of barrels, specifically on his fastball, which is the pitch that he's throwing the most. It has an expected slugging percentage of 0.694, so I do think that some of these hits that are outs will turn into hits at some point, but that's okay. Maybe he makes an adjustment along the way and he doesn't use it quite as much. But it is hard because the only off-speed pitch that he has is a changeup, at least that he's utilizing right now. It has a 128 batting average against and a 149 slug, a 186 expected batting average, and a 224 expected slug. So that really means that his changeup has truly been effective and he's not just getting lucky or anything like that. Some of his numbers compared to 2023 are great. He's gone 30 1/3 innings in his first 5 starts compared to 26 2/3 innings in 2023. He's given up 19 hits in 2024 compared to 31 in 23, and he's given up 7 total runs in 2024 compared to 18 in 23. So really happy to see the success that TA has had. Here's to hoping he can kind of maintain. I don't think he's going to keep a sub 2 ERA all year. Honestly, if we can get like a low mid 3 ERA out of him, I will be happy.
Tom McCarthy. So long, everybody. Stay tuned. Pure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Post Game Live. Those guys right after this.
We're going to talk about a few disappointments so far to start the season, and the first one that we obviously have to talk about is Patrick Sandoval. Sandy has not been good this season, which is extremely frustrating because everybody and their mom knows the ceiling that this kid has. His fastball has been extremely bad. It's the pitch that he's thrown the most often, and it has a 500 batting average against and a 636 slug. That's not going to get it done. He did pitch yesterday, though, and he didn't throw his fastball as much, and he only gave up 3 earned runs as opposed to like 5 or 6. So maybe his approach is changing. That would honestly be great. His slider is still his best pitch, but no other pitches have really been working well for him. His slider specifically has a 167 stuff plus. That's good for 6 in all of Major League Baseball with guys that have pitched at least 10 innings this year. That's disgusting. His slider has been so good. Again, if you only have one good pitch, just let that pitch go when you're at the plate and you're facing it. Just don't swing at it because you're gonna get something else that's more hittable. So that's the thing. It's hard when you're not pairing it with something else. You could take a look at how he's locating here. Look at how tight that circle is for his slider. He's locating it in the same spot pretty much every time. But then if you look at his other pitches, it's all pretty sporadic, especially that 4-seam. That thing is all over the place. So not having an effective fastball makes things tough. All you really, again, in theory, need to do is just ignore the slider and sit fastball and you're good to go. This kid gets so incredibly in his head and it makes me sad. And I just want to take a second to talk about this because if I'm being vulnerable with you guys, that was me as an athlete when I was starting to play softball, sometimes even up into high school. I really empathize with his hot-headedness and I can really see how it affects him. It's like looking in a mirror.
It's like looking in a mirror.
I know that he's not doing it to be the center of attention or even because he wants to. I know he just cares so much and wants to put his team in a position to win. That doesn't mean that he should be doing it, but I do empathize with it. I do know the value value of changing that approach and how much it would help him. So if there is a point where he really sits down and is able to kind of mentally work through these roadblocks, I think that he could be so much better. But at this point, he's not a kid anymore. He's 27 years old. There aren't really a ton of excuses. A pitcher can have grit and toughness and have winning energy all day, but if they aren't producing after several seasons, you have to wonder what'll change. Let's talk about Mickey Moniak next. He has had a very tough start to the season. It's been a little disappointing. His Baseball Savant page is blue. It is blue. It makes me very sad. His chase percentage, whip percentage, K percentage, and walk percentage have all surprisingly gotten better. It shows you where he was with those last year. Otherwise, everything else has gotten worse. Moniak had a much sharper start last year. Through 21 games, he had a .319 batting average, a .347 on base, and a .681 slug with a 1027 OPS in 2023. And this year, 127 batting average, 186 on base, 200 slug, 386 OPS. Not where we want to be. I think it's important to know that some guys just have slow starts to their seasons. He did not have a slow start last year, and he did get called up in May, so maybe there wasn't as much pressure on him at that point. But I think that he has completely changed his approach at the plate, and that is what's causing him a lot of his failures, I guess. He is being less aggressive on first pitches. He's only swinging at them about 30.5% of the time compared to 47.5% of the time in 2023. I do think that this seems to be a new team approach, though. I don't think this is Moniak specifically, but he would attack that first pitch so often last year and saw great success with it, and he's not doing that this year, and that could be part of the reason why he's not seeing as much success. He is swinging at less pitches out of the zone, like I mentioned. He's down 12.6% from last year on whiffs out of the zone, which is great, but overall he's swinging less, which I think is fine, but he's not capitalizing on the swings that he's taking. I would be interested to see if he can go back to being a little bit more aggressive on those early counts while still maintaining patience as the at-bat progresses. I think it's really important for him to get going, as Hicks is also not picking up any of the slack, so we really don't have a good fourth outfielder option. We went from thinking, wow, our outfield is crowded, to, wow, can somebody else please hit the ball, because Aaron Hicks and Mickey Moniak are not getting it done. I do want to mention Anthony Rendon super quick, although I think that he's a disappointment because he got hurt again, which I know is out of his control, but I'm just more disappointed, sad, frustrated that he got hurt again as soon as he was starting to really figure things out at the plate. Before he got hurt, he had a .267 batting average, a .325 on base percentage, .307 slug, and a .632 OPS, but he did have that 21-22 at-bat stretch at the start of the season where I think he got one base hit. He was really heating up until he got injured. As of now, he has a high-grade partial tear in his hamstring. I don't really know much about what that means, so I looked it up. Basically, a mild hamstring tear could have you out for about 3 to 8 weeks, whereas a complete hamstring tear can be a 3 to 6 month recovery. I'm gonna assume that a partial tear doesn't mean a complete tear. I don't think he's gonna be out for 3 to 8 weeks. I'm gonna say All-Star break, he'll be back. Maybe like late July, early August. So
up and gets it and rides it out of here to center field. That's an impressive swing of the bat for Tyler O'Neill, his 8th home run this year. And
I do want to just include a few other tidbits. These are just things that are bouncing around in my brain and didn't really fit into any of these categories. I do think it's important to remember that changing clubhouse culture takes time. These guys have not experienced a real culture change with a real leader in years. A lot of these changes are not going to change in a matter of weeks, maybe even in a matter of a month or two. So I think it's important to be patient with this team and the culture that Wash is trying to instill. A quick reminder that sending players down to the minors is not going to fix every issue that they might have. If you have a guy that's having a hard time hitting breaking pitches, for example, sending them down to a league where you're not seeing as intense of breaking balls is not going to fix an issue. In a case like Neto or Shonowell, It's better, in my opinion, unless if you really think it's a confidence issue, to just have them figure it out at the major league level. Because yeah, they're going to go back down and then they're going to hit the shit out of everything again because it's not nearly as challenging. A reminder again that this is a season where nobody anticipated the Angels being good. This is a year to let guys develop and learn under Ron Washington. Keep that in mind, please. We're not supposed to be good this year. Brandon Drury is a notoriously slow starter, so I'm personally not too concerned or worried that he won't turn things around. Last year, through his first 20 games, he slashed 179 with a 208 on-base percentage and a 269 slug, which is very similar to what we're seeing now. Sano has been a nice addition so far. I think he's slotted in really well at third base while Rendon is hurt. I think that he has made some awesome plays over there. He's walking, which has been great, and he's hitting the shit out of the ball. He's at the top of the league in exit velocity. I'm wondering if Mike Trout will ever have an RBI ever again. Will he ever get another base hit with runners in scoring position? The world may never know. And I think the main thing for this group right now is that they're just not being consistent. They're not putting all sides of the ball together and winning ball games completely. One night we'll go 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and then another night we'll go 1 for 12. One night our pitchers will only give up 3 runs, but then we'll fail to put up a curvy number on the scoreboard, and then the next day we lose a ball game 9-7. You have to put all sides of the ball together in order to win ball games and to be a complete ball club. So there you have it. That is my March-April recap. I am so sorry I couldn't be more positive. Maybe in May we will see some better news, although our May schedule is also pretty tough. So we will see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you guys feel about my breakdown on all of these players and on the team. It was so negative and I'm so sad about that, but feel free to leave a like on the video, only if you liked it though, and subscribe if you don't want to miss any more baseball content from me. I love you so much, and remember to not let sports affect your mental health. It's just sports. They're supposed to be fun. There's more to life than baseball, although it doesn't feel like that sometimes. I love you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.